everybody. We're super excited to be here today. Once again, I know I don't have to keep doing the numbers, but I like doing the numbers early on. This is our third episode of the Honest to God podcast, and we got some new faces and some returning faces. Well, we have one new face. And as always, there's the Benjamin Barron producing over there for us. So we're going to start like we always do, 5 quick facts. If you've already done them, you got to give us 5 more. I'm sorry. But before we do that, I think Benedict said he was going to sing the Golden Girls theme song.
No, I'm pretty sure our producer said we have copyright issues that I'm not allowed to sing.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure about that.
All right. Sorry. I hate it with
Actually,
the copyright.
our copyright issues were cleared. Our lawyer said we are good to go for Golden Girls. We got permission from Betty White herself.
I don't think Benedict wants to do that. Annie, you're up. Give us 5 facts.
My name's Annie. I'm 19 years old. I go to the University of North Georgia. I can sing my ABCs backwards, and my favorite food is ice cream.
Do it. You have to do it.
Okay.
But you have to do it quick because we got a lot to talk about.
ZYXBVUT SRQPONM LKJIGFEDCBA.
That's ridiculous. You always hear about that as one of the things, like as a sobriety test. Yep. I'm positive if I got pulled over, sober as a judge, there's no way I would be able to do that.
That's why I learned it in the 8th grade.
Yeah, that's
JJ,
why
my brother,
I knew I was
do that when.
Luke, you're up, brother.
All right. Here's a good one. So, like, I like to make a joke that I'm like a victim of cannibalism because one time I was at a camp, right? And I'm like running up a hill and this kid is running down and we collided and his mouth was open yelling, "Hey, we won." And so like his 2 front teeth like got in my forehead and like cut my head open. Oh. So that's a cool story.
That is a cool story.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Does that count as 5?
No, that counts. You just have to do 1. There's a rule I just made up if you've already been here and done your 5.
Okay. I don't know what to say after that. I'm Hannah. I'm Byzantine Catholic. I'm in the military, and I love rock climbing. That's only 4 things, but we're gonna leave it
There's
at that.
3. Your name doesn't count.
I have 11 siblings.
Okay. Which
go.
one's your favorite right now on the air, immortalized?
Okay, I have a younger one and an older one.
Younger one. You don't have to say it. You don't have to say it. All right, Benedict.
You know who you are.
I was originally born in Philadelphia.
Nice. Benjamin, are we doing you? Let's do you. Yeah.
Sure. I will do 1 fact, and it's that I didn't know Hannah was into rock climbing, and I'm appalled that I haven't gone rock climbing with Hannah because I go like every week.
I am appalled as well, Ben Barron.
Hannah, we have to go rock climbing together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm John Henry, and my fact, we did it before. I announced a Harlem Globetrotters game one time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello and welcome to your Harlem. I'm not going to do it now. All right, so.
Did you do the whistling too?
I did not do any good whistling. No,
no.
They have a whistling guy. All right, so today is sort of a continuation of our last episode, right, where we talked about friendships, and I hated it. That's unfortunately one of the frustrating things about the 27-minute or so format is that you get into these great conversations and then you have to transition. So we're going to keep going on the theme of friendship for a little bit today. We talked last time a lot about making friends, being a friend. We're going to talk some today about maintaining friendships. And if y'all had been able to hear us a few minutes ago, this place was alive with people having this exact conversation. I don't even feel like I have to pose a question. If one of you guys can just pick up with one of the topics we were discussing a few minutes ago before we went on air. Or I can give you one to get started with. Cool. So one thing that I thought that was super interesting, it was Annie and Hannah and our show notes over there, Grace, who's killing it again today with the show notes. You were talking about the idea of calling one another higher and what that meant in terms of an authentic friendship. And can you just talk about that a little bit, any of you guys? Yes.
So a friendship, there's like multiple reasons to have a friendship, but one of the big ones is to not be alone in like your pursuit of like your goals. And one of those being heaven. The way to get to heaven is obviously to be like Jesus. So you want to surround yourself with people who are trying to be like Jesus and who are trying to have friends who want to be like Jesus. So ferrum ferro executor is a Latin saying, and it means iron sharpens iron. So if you are around people who are who don't have a good mindset, they aren't trying to get to heaven, you're going to, even if you don't think you're going to start going down to that level. So I have some friends who I think really do actively try and make it, are actively trying every day to make it to heaven. And it's really beautiful because constantly like, it's like I don't have to go find some random book author to look up to because I have my friends.
Right. I know. I love that. I had I work with someone who says you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And I think that is so true. And it's not something that just applies to middle schoolers or high schoolers or college kids. It applies to us all our whole life, right? You're either going to be brought up or down, and I don't think that it's possible to just sort of maintain, because I keep coming back to this idea of we're not islands. We're not meant to live alone. We have to be in community. So you talked about a system, Annie, beforehand.
Yeah.
About what you and your friends do, which sounds super cheesy and wonderful and all those things all rolled into one. Can you talk about it?
Yeah. So I think it's really important when we call each other higher that you do it in a way that's charitable and like doesn't leave a bad taste in their mouth. Because I've had many times where I've been called out in front of people or in just a way I didn't like, and I immediately was like, I don't really want to change. I don't want to be better.
Sure.
So we created this system called shoulder tap. And so basically, if we had talked prior that we didn't want to gossip anymore. So if we were caught in a situation where we were gossiping, we would just look at the person and then tap our shoulder and be like, hey, stop gossiping, instead of being like, hey, Hannah, stop gossiping in front of everyone, because that wouldn't be effective for anyone.
That's
Situation.
awesome.
Yeah.
And did it work? Nobody got their feelings hurt or anything
No,
from
it
doing that?
definitely worked. And I had many times where people like looked at me and did this. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to stop.
I mean, maybe Benedict or Luke can speak to that. I don't know if that works as well with dudes. I don't know if like one of my guy friends gave me a secret hand signal that said like, hey, you're acting like an idiot right now. Like, I don't know if that would translate well. Maybe that's just me tied up in my own arrogance and vanity and whatever. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
It could happen.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I've seen where guys can say like, dude, like you need to chill out a little bit.
Right.
But I can tell you, if as a guy, that would not work if a guy comes up to you and goes, dude, you got to stop gossiping.
Right.
Bro, come on.
Right.
But but it's a similar concept. You know, a guy can come up to you and says, just relax, dude, calm down.
No, okay. I hear that. I think that makes sense. And I keep going back to my friends in college, but it was very similar, where it was self-deprecating isn't the right word, but they would come at it from like, hey man, listen, I deal with the exact same stuff, right? Be it not treating girls well, or pornography, or just being aggressive, or whatever it is, desperately trying to prove that you're a man to everybody around you. And they always sort of tempered it with that, I'm dealing with the same thing you are, and I get it, but it's because I love you that I'm here. And it's almost like that awkwardness is disarming a little bit. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. Now I can have a conversation with you because you're not speaking down to me and looking at me like I'm some idiot and you're up there high and mighty.
Yeah, I was going to just say for the guys, like sometimes, we like to hide stuff and like sarcasm and stuff like, hey bro, like, hey, chill out, man. Like, that can mean a lot of things. So I like what you said there about, we talked about a lot last episode a little bit, like, hey, being vulnerable every now and then, and just be like, actually like, hey brother, show some actual like fraternity, brotherhood there. Be like, hey brother, like let's grow in this together.
Well, it seems like as men, and ladies, I promise we'll talk about you guys here in a little bit. But as men, we're presented by the world with 2 options, right? And option 1 is you can be this machismo, chest beating, right? I'm gonna get a bunch of neck tattoos and treat girls like trash and just be this guy, just what we call a man's man that is actually super emasculine, right? But what society presents as a man's man, or we can be this effeminate, passive, kind of wimpy guy who doesn't stand up for ourselves and whatever. And I'm sure that they've got words for those now that I won't say on air. But neither of those extremes is Christ-like, right? Jesus is not the long-haired hippie that we see all the time in, the little pictures up on the Sunday school room. He's not effeminate. And at the same time, Jesus is not some guy throwing punches and getting in fistfights and desperately trying to prove his masculinity. He is strong, but he's not emasculine in that strength. So I can go off on that for a little while, but I want to keep going on this theme of maintaining friendships, though, that I think is so important. And this idea of getting called out. And you said, it was either Annie or Hannah who said this earlier. And I love the line, friendships are not therapy, or a friendship is not a therapy session.
Yeah. Friendship isn't therapy. So definitely throughout my life, I put myself in a lot of situations where I become therapists for my friends, and it drained my energy so much. So it would be like getting calls at 2 a.m. and like being at that beck and call because I didn't want to let that person down. And that stems from like a good place. And I know a lot of people do this because you want to be there for that person. But there comes a level where it's unhealthy for you and it's becoming not friendship, it's becoming therapy. So it kind of goes into like calling each other out and just like understanding like to have the good parts of friendship and like the silly parts of friendship too. Because if you're sitting there and you're giving all your emotional energy trying to fix this person, one, that's how they're going to see you as. They're going to see you as, okay, this is the person where I'm going to unleash it all. And that there's no way to then like have that go back and forth. It's not going to become, somebody's going to have to give way, and you don't want that friendship to end. You want to maintain because you care about that person. So most of the scenarios where I've had had that situation, I'm not friends with those people anymore. And it's really sad because once I stopped playing that role, they kind of walked out of that situation because they were so used to getting that from me.
Well, it's a friendship of utility almost, right? Like it's use. I'm using you for something. And usually when we say that, we think about it sexually, but it can also be like an emotional crutch or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I was going to just add to that and say, like, get help from other people as well. I mean, if you know someone that's actually really struggling with like some serious stuff, a lot of the times you can't just do this with your own personal relationship. You're going to need help from like a trusted adult who can step in and help, guide that person the right decision. Like I've been in situations where I actually had to step back and say, hey, look, I can't help you anymore, but I know people that can, and I'll just keep praying for you and supporting you, but I can't do anything else for you. And sometimes that's a really hard line that you're going to have to draw, but and it takes some humility to do it, but it's really important to get like someone who really can actually help in these situations when you can't. So
it's a tough path to navigate, right? That idea of I love you as a friend, but I'm not in a position where I can fix this. Yeah. And I want to go back to something that you said, Hannah. There is a time with friends, I think, and it's probably a question on a lot of people's minds, when you kind of have to push back. You kind of have to push yourself away a little bit. And once again, it's a fine line because it's not, oh, you're doing something I disagree with. I'm going to cut you out of my life entirely and just throw you right to the side. But what does that line look like? We touched on that a little bit on the last show, but I still want a definitive answer on when do I realize this friendship is toxic and something I don't need to be a part of?
I would say a big part of that would be looking at how you spend time with that friend. So with a lot of the friends I have now, we go and we do activities. We like sing songs in the car. We talk about Jesus. We talk about things that have like troubled us, but it's never like the only thing we talk about. So it's like having like just doing different things. So when you find your relationship is focused on one thing, in any relationship, that's normally not going to be healthy. So
can you give an example, not necessarily from your life, but I just mean an example of like one thing that a relationship might be focused on that it shouldn't be?
We can go into gossip. If the only thing you guys do together is sit and you talk about everyone else, then how are you learning about that other person? How are you guys bringing yourselves to become better people if all you're doing is spending time talking about other people?
Yeah, I always think about a lot of my high school relationships and some of my college relationships that as I matured and grew in my faith, but also just matured as a person, I realized, oh, this relationship is really just based on us going out and partying or us going out and drinking or us chasing girls or whatever that is. And what's so sad to me is I got over that when I was 19 or 20. But you see people in their 30s and in their 40s and in their 50s who are still living this super immature life, male or female. And it's gross.
So this is actually something that like I didn't realize, but once I like got older, I realized like some way you can really tell like how friends are and how your friendship is if when you bring them home, like you can like sit down with your family for dinner with them. Like if you're like your siblings can sit and play with them. If your parents can have a conversation with them and hug them goodbye, like that, to me, that's a really good indicator of a good friendship.
Yeah, we normally think about that in regards to like romantic relationships, but it applies just as well, if not better, to friend relationships. Mm-hmm. That's great. Any thoughts from any of you on maintaining healthy friendships? I know that we're in that a lot, but I'm just thinking big picture and with focus on the word maintaining, because a lot of the people at this table have got good, healthy relationships with other people, I assume, who are friends, non-romantic relationships. And maintaining can be difficult, especially when you're in a time in your life that's in flux. When you're in college, when you're starting your career, when you're moving around, how do you not establish, but maintain those relationships?
Well, I'll just give a little bit of a foundation here. Like we talked about this last 2 episodes about like how friendships and relationships all start with your relationship with the Lord. So one thing you have to recognize is that we're all broken people, and a good relationship is a good thing. So it's something that's really hard for us broken people to do. So what we have to do is you have to have that relationship with the Lord and, you know, receive his love. And then it's not until you receive his love that you can give that like good, true, like love to other people. So it starts there.
Awesome.
I think another thing is just inviting, like the friends you already have, you can fit them into your schedule. Be like, hey, I'm going to mass and this morning. Do you want to join me? I'm making a run to Walmart. Like if you're close by, and just like including them into your day-to-day life. I think it's important to just like involve them.
Well, I love too that you said, first you said mass and then you said, or I'm going to Walmart. Because no. but I'm serious, right? I mean, I know that this is a Catholic radio show on a Catholic radio station and all of these things, but our whole life and existence are all of our relationships don't have to be directly tied up in exclusively Catholic things. You're allowed to go see a concert. You're allowed to go out for a drink. You're allowed to go out to a restaurant. You're allowed to go just screw around, do stupid stuff. Stupid stuff is so good for us, as long as it's not evil, right? I mean, I can't tell you the amount of trouble that I got in with a lot of my college buddies that was so good. It was like wholesome trouble. Like, was it always legal? No. But was it something that was detrimental to my soul? Absolutely not. And I get sideways looks from my parents and some of our friends or whatever, because that's been my philosophy with our own kids is I'm not so worried about your physical well-being. I'm concerned about your spiritual well-being. Let's be people and have fun. Like, what a beautiful thing this faith is. And it's a huge part of our lives, but we don't have to focus every single second on something that is explicitly religious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maintaining good friendships, a big part is just being honest. Like if something bothers you, like being honest about it and not allowing yourself to kind of like sit in misery with it. So that's a big thing, is just like talking and just talking, because talking's a beautiful thing. And then not to like say that every friendship you have to do something like crazy, but I just went on a 2-week road trip from like coast to coast with my brother and then 3 of my best friends. And it was like, we just decided to do it and we worked it out and we did it and we just had a great time. And everyone said that we would fight. We did not fight one time on that trip, because we were just living life and enjoying living it with each other.
One of the men that I'm closest with, one of my best friends, I just took a big trip with him, and we spent days and days riding around in the back of his truck together having conversations. And he's a holy man and a good father and someone who I really admire in a lot of ways. But we spent an entire day reciting the lyrics from like stupid songs from when we were 18 years old, and then talking about crappy superpowers, like you can run at the speed of light, but only with your eyes closed. Or yeah, you can talk to fish, but only one particular fish, and you don't know which one it is.
Oh, I have a great
only in
one.
elevators.
Yes.
You have super speed, but you constantly have cramps in your legs.
Yeah. And once again, was that like building up my soul in some way? Yeah, it actually was, because I'm growing closer to this other person who's a good, holy man, and we're not sitting around like discussing the politics of the USCCB or complaining about, whatever. It was beautiful.
Bringing it down to the simple things, like literally, that's what you're saying. Just bringing it down to just enjoying little things.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, God gave us a body and a soul. Like, your relationship isn't supposed to be purely spiritual. Like, do fun things together. Have a well-rounded life, Like, it's like, again, the simple things. Just do fun stuff together, I mean,
we need it. I mean, you see the depictions of the church in media and stuff, or what's the song with I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. They have this idea of the church, of us all just being sad and miserable and sort of just having these miserable lives now in the hopes of eternal glory. And the great thing is that God, like you said, he gave us bodies in this physical world to participate in. And it is so good and so joyful. And we get to participate in it with other people, which is fantastic, right? Both romantically, right, with a spouse one day, if that's our vocation, or just hanging out on the Quest Atlanta radio station and talking about dumb stuff, right? It's great. Any other thoughts on that before I move to something depressing? Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on. No, I can't stop you there. Please, I want to hear the depressing one. Never mind. Go on.
Oh, no. Closing thoughts. Closing thoughts with Benedict on that one.
Well, it's like you were saying earlier, like, how Jesus wasn't one extreme or the other. It's just like what you were saying that, you don't have to have friends or all we do is, go to mass and pray. But, going out to a restaurant with them, they seem very tense. Like, no, that's not fun. But then you have the other extremes, too, where it's people who religion isn't a part of their faith. Like, you can be fun with them. It can be a lot of fun with them, but faith never comes up. So it's just a simple balance of having a little bit of both.
No, absolutely. And as we change gears a little bit, I don't want anybody to think that I'm asking for gossip or anything like that. That's not what I'm after. But I am curious, and I want to start with myself being the bad guy in this story. But I'm curious about your thoughts on how not to be a friend, not to be a good friend. Because in my conversion, when I was having this conversion or reversion, I was baptized Catholic to the faith, all of a sudden I became super scrupulous of myself and also super judgmental of other people, right? And we've probably all experienced that. And it can be examples of other people not being a great friend to you or you not being a good friend to other people. But we've talked a lot about the hows, and I'm interested in the how nots. Any thoughts? Annie?
Thoughts on how not to be a good friend?
Oh, Luke.
I mean, I have a simple one that just for me personally, like, I know this might seem really basic for people, but like one thing I struggle with is just making time for them. Like, sure. I have a busy life and it's easy for me to just get in a routine and just like week after week. And before I know it, I look back and it's been 3 months and I haven't seen my best friends. So like be intentional in making time with your friends.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Annie.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, not always talking about yourself and just being a good listener. I struggle with that one hardcore. I always like getting this, I'm like, oh, I'm just talking. I love talking. I just like forget. I need to just sit down and listen sometimes.
Annie was in my youth group for years, and the joke was always that whenever there was anything serious that was going on, we had myself and another fellow who ran the youth group, and Annie is the queen of getting you off topic and in this little side conversation about anything other than what you're supposed to be talking about. So good job. And that was not a criticism, right?
No, yeah.
I'm an only child, and I love talking. I'm literally here because I love talking about myself or hearing myself talk. That is a big struggle. Hannah?
I would say, like, this is something that I definitely struggle with, and it's, like, very much a double-edged sword, but it's, like, when you try and do things, like, all by yourself. So, like, a lot of times, like, I will literally just put myself in a position where I'm just, like, feel very alone in things, and I don't tell my friends. And then it's, like, that causes issue on both sides, because then on my side, I'm gonna feel alone, and on their side, they don't know what's going on. So, like, I know I already said this, but, like, being honest with people about, like, when you're feeling something.
I think a lot of that, at least from my perspective, is usually vanity, right? It's usually this idea of, I don't want to share things because, first of all, it's awkward, but also in this world of social media and everything, I want the people around me to think, I've got it all together and I'm doing well and I've got my wife and my children and our, happy family and everything. But that's such a lie, and you're not fooling anybody. I say that all the time to the teenagers in my class. I teach a high school class, and I say, look around the room and just know that everybody here is struggling with the same self-esteem and low confidence and all these things that you are struggling with. And it does not stop, right? We get better at it as we get older, but I'm absolutely struggling with those things. And that desire to hide that from my friends is a very real issue.
This is actually a big one, because I realize, like, I do this all the time, and I know people do this to me, is allowing somebody to think that something they're doing is okay. Like, if you don't think it's that big of a deal, it's really easy to not want to have the hard conversation with your friends. So you're just like, no, you're a good girl. Like, and
like
it's
what?
like
what?
Like, gossiping would be an easy one, or like, if there's like a politics thing where you have a very opposite belief and that person has another belief, and you're just like, yeah, no, makes sense, because you don't want to like lose that friendship. But at the end of the day, like, you have to be authentic with your friend for it to be a friendship.
Yeah, I think self-esteem and self-confidence go a long way in that too. And I don't want you to think badly of me. And also I don't want to have a confrontation because that'll be uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's cowardly in a way. I'm not calling you a coward. I do it too. I'm a coward in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, don't allow yourself to be, pushed around by these other people. Stay true to yourself. Stay authentic. That's where the best relationships come from. If that person can accept you for who you are and then help you to grow where you need to grow, that's a good thing.
Well, and our self-worth does not come from other people. And it sounds trite and something that we hear all the time, but it's so true, right? Our self-worth comes from the fact that we're children of God. So we're going to wrap up here, and then we're going to do the popsicle sticks because they're my favorite thing in the world right now. So go ahead and grab a popsicle stick. And as we're finishing up, just as a big recap of this whole thing, we covered a whole lot. Once again, I wish we could spend a couple hours in here. This is a great conversation on friendship, but I think what we keep coming back to is, there you go, Benedict.
Thank you.
Popsicle.
Yeah, that's a true friend right there.
That is it. But our worth comes not from others. Our worth comes from God, and true friends are going to be the people who lead us to heaven and who keep our eyes on the prize and fight through all the mess that we have to fight through. Are there any other big takeaway points anybody wants to throw out?
Amen, brother.
All right.
Friendship, like anything else, takes effort on both ends, and there will be times when you struggle with it, but it's. I mean, you're married. How long have you been married now?
11 years.
11 years, and you've had to put some work into it, right? To keep it going.
A little bit,
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But you want that, right? It's worth it.
100%.
And you're willing to do that, and that's the thing with an authentic friendship is both sides need to be willing to put at least some effort into it.
Yeah. No, I dig it. All right, Annie, we're going to start with you. Popsicle stick, read and answer.
Would you rather be really hairy or completely bald? I'm going to go with really hairy.
Really hairy.
Yeah, like really hairy.
That one's already come up, I think,
Really?
hasn't it? I don't know. Maybe with scales.
I'm just saying you could definitely shave or get it waxed or laser hair removal. And plus, like, the hair that you do have, like all that hair, you're going to stay warm. Like, you could move up north.
In this scenario, you can't. I'm adding a caveat.
I'd move up north.
You look like a Wookiee. Okay.
Like, cool. I could live in Antarctica.
That's way down south.
Person.
That's so far north that you go back around the globe.
He said you look like a Wookiee, though.
But they wouldn't see me because who lives in Antarctica?
So you're just going to be by yourself?
I mean, I'd be the first person to live there.
Annie would not. No.
Cool.
Okay, bald is not good as a woman. Just
bald is awful.
Yeah, but
wow.
Luke, what you got?
Have you ever had a near-death experience? So, I mean, kind of that story I told at the beginning was like super scary for me, but then also I'll tell another funny story.
The accidental cannibalism story?
Yeah, that thing, right. Yeah. So my sister has a grudge on me because apparently I almost killed her as a child. So we were at the grocery store and my mom was loading stuff and I locked the car and locked my sister in the car and she it was 95 degrees outside.
Oh, nice.
So my sister has a grudge against me that I almost killed her. So
That's fair. Yeah. Shout out to Maria. Would you rather never sweat again or never feel cold again? Real quick, just assuming that there's no health stipulations
you will literally
with
die.
this.
There's all the health stipulations.
Okay, wait, actually?
Yeah, 100%. I decided.
Okay, well then, then you can't not sweat. So health stipulation. So you'd have to choose never feel cold.
Okay, no. I changed it again. So, so it's either you can't sweat or you can never wear any protective clothing. You have to walk around in a short sleeve T-shirt and shorts for the rest of your life.
I did that for 3 months in AIT. I would definitely choose that.
All right, fine. What you got, Benedict?
Have you ever been on TV or radio? Yes, I've been on both.
We've got
How do we keep looking the same ones?
We've got 37,000 of these things, and everybody's getting the same one. All right, big man Ben, it's you.
Mine is, have you ever cheated on a test? Yes, absolutely. I'm a big advocate for cheating on school tests.
Catholics.
We disagree with that here at the Quest.
Oh.
If it's
Catholic Radio.
German 2
condone that in
class
any
where you
way.
don't actually have a teacher, I got a 97 in that class and learned not a single word of German that year.
Ich liebe dich. I think that means I love you.
I
would
wouldn't
know.
know.
You would know.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather sell all of your possessions or sell one of your organs? Is amateur hour? No, it's clearly an organ. I got spares. I got spares
You
of
got two
at
kidneys,
least
right?
one of those. Yeah. So that's all we got today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here. It's always so much fun. We appreciate it. You are listening to 1160 AM The Quest, Atlanta Catholic Radio. Honest to God. Hope to see you soon. God bless.